Good morning, everyone. This is Simarjeet Kaur. Student ID is 1085033. Today I'm going to present a presentation on professional portfolio demonstrating achievements of the Australian professional standards for the teachers. So let's start. In my professional experience, second placements, I worked with the babies from 8 months to 2 years old in an early childhood setting. The placements allowed me to utilize theory in an authentic context by observing, creating focused child reports, planning and implementing learning experiences, documenting children's progress, and reflecting on my teaching practices. The piece of evidence within this portfolio indicate how these experiences have helped me to meet the Australian professional standards for teachers. So let's start with the slide number 3. Know students how they learn. So in this slide, I have highlighted my capacity to plan, structure, and implement effective teaching and learning. While working with the children at the Early Childhood Center, I noted their strong interest in construction and chose this to plan collaborative blocks, building experience, and this learning experience was strategically planned as it included the learning goals, resources, and teaching approaches that suited the developmental age for the children, such as modeling, posing questions, and providing feedback. I provided a scaffold for the children while implementing this experience, encouraging communication, cooperation, and persistency as they engaged in this activity. So let's start with the other slide. This learning experience provides evidence of the ability to translate curriculum into the effective teaching practices. Instead of simply telling a story, I deliberately planned to use the specific teaching strategies to support children's language learning. This include providing the modeling language, asking open-ended questions, and using the puppets to encourage sustained engagement. The strategies I chose to use took into the considerations the developmental stage of infants and the toddlers and their capacity to communicate in range of ways. Moving further, during this learning experience, I was able to plan and implement the differentiated learning experiences based on observed children's interest. Based on children's interest in the constructions, I planned a learning experience focused on developing cognitive, physical, and social skills through the cooperative block building activity. I had to clear learning objectives and effective teaching strategies in my learning experiences plan and provided opportunity to scaffold and adapt to children's engagement. The children's perseverances, corporations, and confidence were the evidence through the reflective practices. So moving to next slide. So in slide number 6, through this learning experience, I was able to develop a safe and inclusion environment that I supported and encouraged children to confidently participate. The learning environment was intentionally prepared with the safe and developmentally appropriate sensory resources that invited children to explore and investigate. During this activity, I scaffolded learning by modeling language and acknowledging children's cues and encouraging cooperations among peers. My reflection indicated that each child was involved differently at their individual pace and gained confidence and engagement throughout the experience. The learning experience highlighted the impact of a responsive learning environment in supporting children's well-being, participations, and learning. So let's move further. The artifacts highlighted capacity to use ongoing assessment to understand the children's need. So and extend their learning throughout my placements. My documenting learning stories and the anecdotal observations I captured information about the children's interest and communications and the development throughout their natural engagement with the play-based experiences, and by analysis the collected informations I was able to identify the children's strength and developing the abilities and plan next step for the learning. And my approach focused on the integrating ongoing assessment and into my teaching to respond to the children's learning needs rather than it being this isolated event. So let's move further. So these artifacts demonstrate how I engage in the professional learning throughout my placements by setting clear, smart goals and reflecting on my progress each week. Through regular discussions with my mentor teacher, I receive the constructive feedback that helped me in strengthen my observation skills and planning, of course, the professional communication. And comparing my early and final reflections shows significant growth in my confidence and ability to implement responsive teaching practices. So, this experience reinforced that effective educators continually evaluate their practices and seek feedback and engage in a lifelong professional learning to improve the outcome for children. So, let's move in slide number 9. So there is engaged professional with the colleagues and parents, carers of the community. So in this, I show the artifact display how I approach professional practices in relation to reflections and the collaborations. After I facilitated a group storytelling event, I reflected on my practices by assessing children's participations and their interactions and their learning outcomes. My mentor teacher also provided feedback which allowed me to reflect on my strengths and my areas for development, including giving children's extra response time. And also, she asked me to increase the peer engagement time. So, through this experience, I discovered that the reflections, collaborations, and the evidence based practices are crucial for sorry, for the professional development. So, let's move further. So at the end of this the slides, I would say in the conclusion, the experience of the placements has been integral to my development as a early childhood educator. By engaging with children's learning, implementing a rich curriculum, assessing their learning, and continue to reflect on my practices, I feel like I have enhanced my uh, practical skills as well as the gain confidence in my abilities. So my aim for the future is to continue to embrace feedback, continue learning, and use my reflective practices to implement high quality learning opportunities for each and every child. I will continue using all the observations, assessments, and the intentional teaching to create engaging, inclusive learning experiences that recognize every child's strength, interest, and the potential. So, overall, so my journey as a teacher, I really enjoyed those placements. So, so overall, thank you so much for listening me. And at the end, these are the references. Thank you.